Your current health is like a scale. It's a compass. It literally tells you where you need to go and what you have to do. By the time we're done with this talk, you'll have my custom 4-step method that's guaranteed to transform you into your best self. Whether we have happy days or sad days, good days or bad days, unhealthy foods as well as unhealthy thoughts take us down a path that we'd rather not be on. They take us down a road of pain. And who wants pain? Not me, and most definitely not you. And your health is like your compass. We go through our biggest challenges. These challenges are designed to raise us up. When we look in the mirror and don't like what we see, we have to realize that this is just an invitation for us to go to our best self, for us to grow and learn how to make things happen that change the exterior that we see. Now, you and I both know we weren't born with all the cards figured out. It wasn't just laid out for us where we knew everything that was supposed to happen. We had to figure a lot of things out for ourselves, and we're still figuring things out. When we were kids, we couldn't wait to become teenagers. And when we were teenagers, we couldn't wait to become adults. Oh my God, when I become an adult, I'm gonna eat all I wanna eat. I'm gonna drink alcohol if I wanna drink alcohol. I'm gonna smoke cigarettes, I'm gonna smoke weed. I'm gonna do just what the hell I wanna do, because now nobody can tell me nothing. I'm gonna do all these things. But the thing we forget to realize is that food, nutrients, and those things that kept our parents really strong have been on the decline. Thus, all of those party favors and things we get to do as an adult are going to be that much more detrimental to our health earlier. Hence, we have children with diabetes. We have people in their 20s that have high blood pressure, heart disease, things that people used to get in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. People are starting to get in their 20s and 30s. Is it really worth it? Of course not. Hey, I know life is just a game, but I didn't think I was the game, but I'm being hunted by different industries that want a piece of what I'm thinking. They want a piece of what I choose to eat. They want a piece of what I choose to drink. They want to make sure that whatever I think, I have their brand on my mind. Hence, the battle for the mind is here. And with those little things that we love to scroll on, people have more and more opportunities to take a little piece of the most important commodity we have, our attention. And that attention is so important. But we have to realize health state, mind state, the state of being, how we feel, that aura. These things change. They go through stages. In fact, our bodies change totally between 7 to 10 years. Bones take the longest to replace. However, every 10 years, you have a brand new body, a choice to make on what that new body is going to be. This is determined by the energy field that you carry, by the optimism that you carry, by the foods you choose to eat, by the state of being that you choose to have exist in your every moment. You grew out of childhood into young adulthood. You grew out of that young adult teen stage into adulthood. You're growing out of adulthood into that middle age. How you go into that middle age is very important, because all of those things that came with you can change at that moment. Why? Because at 30 years old, human growth hormone, HGH, almost screeches to a halt. But with certain things that you can do while you're in these stages, you can reactivate that youth and bring yourself into those 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond with passion, fire, energy, and strength. This is a golden opportunity, an opportunity to be reborn, to be rebirthed into a new state of being. And this state of being is based on how we carry the next frequency as we move forward. And that frequency is based on how we envision ourselves. And that vision many times is based on how we feel about ourselves. Where do we feel that we fit in our social circle? Where do we feel that we fit inside of society at large? How you feel about yourself governs that vision. That vision begets that frequency. That frequency is like a molder of statues, and it shapes the person that you're about to be on the outside. So we have to work on that frequency and get the inside right by dialing in a certain set of values that change the frequency to a space that creates you 2.0, taking things to the next level. Now we see people that take a lot of time to just put their nose to the grindstone and really go out and get what they're gonna get. They work with that fierce face, that determination. But then we see some people who seem to get things in the best of things without even lifting a finger. In fact, it seems the calmer they get, the better things come to them. And that's happened to me. Many times, my biggest deals in the entertainment industry, my biggest records when records sold millions of records, the biggest situations that I got into were some of the easiest things to get into. Whenever it was real difficult to make happen, it wasn't really right. Now, it took me decades to figure that out, but I had to look back. Hey, you know, when I'm not trying to make the music industry happen, the music industry just happened. Now you're seeing things on the internet right now that show people having to go through gatekeepers and all types of different things. However, the music industry, just like any other industry, is also taking place with handshakes, sit-down lunches, people who are actually hearing something that they like, and deals are being made right in my city, in your city. The times that I thought about things real hard and steady and had super determination, I was leaving behind what I felt about myself, or the state of frequency that already has. But the minute I'm calm and I already have it and I understand, man, I got this. Let me just go get something to eat. Let me head down to Roscoe's. I'm on the way down to Roscoe's, phone rings. Or I get to Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles and I sit down and somebody who I'm trying to meet with sits right in the vicinity of me. Or I'm making a beat inside of the little studio in the back and my neighbor comes by and can't believe what he's hearing and just starts dialing a celebrity on the phone so that they can hear what I'm doing through the phone. These are times I didn't try to make things happen. They ended up being my best times. Why is that? Well, I liken that to a friend called Nero Knowledge. Nero Knowledge said it best. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, which is written in the books. But before you do anything in the day, you calibrate so that you move to that space. What are we calibrating for? We're calibrating to achieve our God self. We're calibrating to get into the right brain. We're calibrating so that we can already accept the frequency, that we already have it. And now we're not trying to get it. And when you're not trying to get it, that's when it happens. Same thing when you're chasing a beautiful girl. When you're really on her and trying to really get with her, she doesn't really know you're alive. And if you look at her, she has a crush on somebody. And the guy that she has a crush on doesn't know that she's alive. But the minute you start focusing on yourself, the minute I started getting on stage and DJing and doing the things that I'm supposed to do, or picking up my bass guitar and just being hot on what I do, and maybe I'm at the pep rally or somewhere, just being me, being my best self, and not really worried about the girls. That's the very time that the girls came around. And before you know it, the most popular girl would be one of my girlfriends, at the time. And that is pretty much the same thing that would happen years later as I did gold, platinum records, and did bigger things in the film industry. These things happen when you accept them and be your best self. It's the same thing when we're attempting to get our best self physically, because you don't want to have swollen feet that are in pain. Who wants to have nerve damage and go through the pain of neuropathy? Who really wants to have vision failing? I mean, can you imagine your vision leaving? And when it leaves, you don't know what to do. I remember not too long ago I had a virus in my eye. A virus in my eye. Maybe it came from the jacuzzi in the public gym. Maybe in the steam room. Maybe something fell in my eye and got infected. Maybe something fell in my eye and my eye got infected. However, this thing started blurring my vision in my left eye. I didn't know what to do. Until one morning, I woke up maybe about 3 days in, and I couldn't see anything out of that eye. It was just a cloudy white cloud, like somebody threw a bed sheet over my face and just covered that eye. Wow. I'm going through my meditation and calibrating. I'm doing my breathing that morning. And I'm trying to get back in that space. And it's very difficult to get back in that space because I'm thinking, what if this thing goes to both eyes? What is this I'm dealing with? If this can happen in 3 days, well, that means that in 6 days, that could happen. I was going into that fear-based thinking. That means absolutely nothing. But I was there. I had to get into my breathing and move through and then start accepting the beautiful thing that I have sight, that I have vision. I had to look at all the good things. I had to thank God for my toes and my feet and my ankles. And I always thank God from the feet up. I thank the God and myself for the other good things that are happening in my mind and for me taking choices and taking chances that are going to be proactive. And in the feeling of being thankful, I was able to segue in the middle of a very trying thought sequence that would easily have driven me down and just messed up my entire day. Well, the next day I went to the doctor. And when I went to the doctor, she told me I better get over to another specialist because this thing looks a little interesting through the instruments that she was checking me out with. So I did that. I went to the specialist. The specialist said, it does look interesting and I know that you can't see, so let's give you this, let's give you that. And they gave me the steroid eye drop, which I know I shouldn't be taking, but I had to take it under the circumstances and I followed the doctor's orders, even though I'm not really a doctor kind of guy. I tend to try to stay as healthy as I can, but hey, I had to do it. That next morning I'm at meditation. But I'm doing something about it. But I got right into calibrating to get that space right. What happens when that space gets right? Well, good things happen. It's the same thing that happens with the girlfriend in high school. It's the same thing that happens with the multi-platinum track that ends up getting on the radio in the profession. It's the same thing that happens when I hop on stage and have my best performance. You can feel the electricity in the air. Back to the performance. When you get off of the stage after a great performance, I can't go to sleep for hours. I'm up just reliving, just basking in the energy of what happened on stage. So I'm back calibrating, doing my 30 sets of breathing. I'm doing my Wim Hof breathing. I'm doing Sufi breathing. I'm getting back into the meditation. Why? Because calibrating is so important. So in this calibration, we're about to learn the 4 steps that we use to calibrate and that you can use to calibrate by taking the steps that I've taught to myself and created so that you can have the same thing that brings your frequency to that space where good things happen. The next thing that happens when you're in that space is the love for self. It changes the frequency. Once that frequency is changed, you'll start treating yourself a certain way. And in fact, people that learn the skill start shaping their bodies and they find it a lot easier to maintain a specific type of regimen. Be it eating, be it working out, be it water fasting, or if you're with me in my program, be it a mixture of all those so that you don't have to overdrive or override anything, but allow each thing in moderation to shape, chisel, and bring you to your best self. And that's what my job is. So, like I said in the beginning of the talk, the current state of the body is like the aftermath. It's the aftermath, not aftermath as in Dr. Dre, but aftermath. This is what our body is equaling after we put the math together on how we eat, how we've taken care of ourselves, and how we feel about ourselves. What state we're in is the state that our thoughts are in, hence the state that our frequency is in, hence the state that our frequency allows our bodies to be chiseled and exist in the space that it sees itself in. We can see the entire picture and we know where we fit. We also have a threshold of willingness. How far are we willing to go beyond the acceptable weight that we used to think was our acceptable weight? Sometimes we're around a bunch of heavier people and being heavier is just the norm. Sometimes we're around people that like to gossip and gossiping is the norm. Are you going to start gossiping because everybody else does? Are you going to hold a little more weight on your body because everybody else does? Most likely not in most cases, but sometimes some things may wear on you. So the aftermath is the first thing we look at, because the math, which is where your body is at that state, is that equation that equaled where you are at the time. The aftermath is that math that comes from the vision, emotions, and value. Vision, emo, value creates the aftermath equation. How do you see yourself? How are you ringing that in your emotions? And what values are you taking into those spaces that add up to what you've allowed yourself to become? Or what you've built and what you see yourself when you do great things for yourself, that other vision. There is an emotion, there's a value, and there's also a vision that set a frequency. This vision, emo, value sets up the code, and the code sets up our vibration. That vibration is the frequency that's going to chisel the new person that you're going to fall in love with, because you know what you want to be. That vibration body creates the attraction, attracting things from the outside, attracting that desire from the inside to begin doing the things that are necessary to become that person that we see on the inside. That vision is attached to that emotion. That vision and emotion grab the values, and that body begins to commit to simple things that we have to adhere to get to what we see. As we begin to see things operate in that fashion, it begins to shape our reality. The more our reality is validated, the more we're beginning to live in that energy. The validation that we see through our eyes gives us that much more energy to move forward with the frequency. In the midst of our old selves, we love the comfort of eating what we want to eat. We love the comfort of not having to work on self. We allow ourselves to be comfortable, and before you know it, we're starting to sink into those old methods, those methods of going back to the places that we love to eat, overdoing the snacks, passing by the gym without stopping in and going to the gym. And before you know it, we fit back into that old socket. That old socket is so easy to get right back in. But once you plug into that old socket, that old frequency is the current going through that socket. And when that frequency hits you, you can really take a dive. Now you're all the way in the midst of binging, because now you've accepted where you're going. And in that total acceptance, you can double your weight in a matter of months. This becomes a real problem. And many times I don't get the call until people are so far down the road on this downward spiral that it can be detrimental to their health and even life-threatening. So what's the solution when you're going through headaches, stomach problems, digestive issues, high blood pressure, diseases, stress, things like hair falling out, skin rashes breaking out? I've seen all types of things that happen because people are on that downward spiral. There is a solution, and it's the fast and fuel up process. Now, the RRCD process of transformation is how it all starts. First, you have to repicture, which means take a new picture of how things are supposed to be. Next, we have to re-emotionalize, hence the RR. We have a new picture and we're attaching an emotion to it. Next, now that we have the picture and the emotion, we have the calibration. So now you picture that mental space that you want to be in. You put emotion to it, and then you feel that in your body. Now, for programs that I put together, I actually have a custom bell that actually hits in the program. It'll hit on your phone, it'll hit periodically throughout your day. When that bell hits, that feeling comes back to the body. This is to keep you there, because another lecture is on sustainability. But right now, we're in the RRCD process. So we repicture, we re-emotionalize, we calibrate, and add a feeling to that emotion that hits us. Just like Christmas Eve, when you had that feeling in your body, or any of those great moments I talked about earlier in this talk. You get that feeling on you. And that good feeling, all types of good things happen. Now, after you've calibrated it, now we drill. And so we go through a series of the bell hitting. Ding, ding, ding. In the frequency of the bell hitting, we're getting back to that space. And we're practicing getting to that space, that frequency. We're practicing. And then we go through actually visualizing that bell going off in our head so that we can keep that feeling and get back to that. Now, the high end of that is sustainability. Just like a sustain pedal on a piano. You press the pedal down, boom, the note holds. You let the pedal up, boom, it stops. That sustainability of the frequency is so important because now you're maintaining. So the RRCD process is how you start the transformation and keep the transformation. So now the bell symbolizes the feeling. The feeling begets the frequency and the emotion. And these things assist us in calibrating the frequency so that we attend to the body and tend to the surroundings as we're in the midst of transforming to our new self. Once we're at our place that we want to be, we don't throw those tools away. We consistently keep them with us. We keep them with us. Whether I'm hired or whether you purchase the course and you have it actually in your phone, along with me lecturing and teaching, and then you also have the calibration program in your phone, or whether you do the calibration on your own. This is imperative so that you maintain a frequency that keeps you at your best self. This is how we change. You don't have time to be sick. You don't have time to be in the hospital. People depend on you. And once you start to love yourself, you'll find that you depend on you. You depend on you to live your best self. You depend on you to live all the dreams and aspirations that you have in your heart. You depend on you to be there for the people that you love. So this process of revisualize, re-emotionalize, calibrate, and drill, this is a bird's eye view of the RRCD process, and it's just a part of the Fast and Fuel Up process of transformation. However, it's the part that you can use. You can put into your toolbox and use this every day as you move through your day. My job is to give you the tools. I'll see you in the next talk as we talk about the sustain pedal and the volume control. This is getting downright musical.